When you have a really good day or a really good week, have you ever asked yourself, how do I keep this good momentum going? Or what's going to happen next week? Is it just going to be another low? The highs and lows of entrepreneurship are no joke, you guys. As if it's not hard enough just being a woman and having the highs and lows of our own cycles and rhythms. Now we add in, being a creative entrepreneur, and the highs can be really high and the lows can be really low. But what I'm going to talk about today is how to keep it a little bit more neutral, how to keep that good momentum going once you have it, and what to do when you feel like you're losing it. And I do not have all the answers, but what I will do is I will share with you guys what I'm learning in real time and take with it what you need or what you want and leave the rest, because I actually don't really know how this is going to all unfold. So let's get started and just talk about good, positive momentum and how to keep it going in your business and your life. This is episode 126. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson, and I help high-performing artists and creative leaders grow and scale communities so that marketing is easy. This podcast combines business tips and real-life experiences in being the creative entrepreneur that we all are. So you're in the right place if you want to leave feeling a little bit more confident and normalize these day-to-day struggles that we all experience as business owners. And you can do this while mastering your marketing so that business is light and easy. I'm so glad you're joining me here where we can get a little bit messy, a little bit creative, and it's okay to be super ambitious. Let's get started. All right, before we dive in, I just wanted to leave a few quick reminders that the Community Growth Lab doors are open or opening soon. Make sure you check the show notes, elizabethhenson.co/E126. And if it's not still open by the time you listen to this, you can jump on the wait list. Or if you do listen to this and the doors are open, make sure you go check it out. We are only opening the doors once or twice a year. This is my 5-step methodology to building an online community to make your marketing and sales easy. And we've added a few things. We've tweaked a few things. I'm really excited about this enhanced Community Growth Lab experience. And like I mentioned on the last episode, we have now added a group coaching component, and we are in beta for that. And I've already welcomed 2 students. So I'm just really excited. We're calling this the Community Growth Lab CMO Accelerator, because this is going to teach you how to become the Chief Marketing Officer of your own business so that you can really have a grip on your marketing so that it becomes repeatable and you always can have that sense of knowing that you are rowing in the right direction. And that is more high touch, more time with me, more intense coaching, figuring out your barriers and accountability so that you will show up week after week for your biggest business dreams. So that being said, you can book your call with me in the show notes. There's a link. I am taking free power marketing calls if you think that you might be a good fit for our group coaching program. So hop on over to the show notes, elizabethhenson.co/E126 to get all the links that you need for today's episode. So let's talk about positive momentum. And this is real fresh for me, you guys, because last week I had one of the best and easiest weeks I have ever had in business. And it wasn't just the success or the amount of money I made, which I do think I set a record for the amount of money that I made in 7 days, but that wasn't what I was celebrating as much as the ease at which it came. and the ease at which I was able to, I don't even want to use the word sell because it didn't feel like I was selling. It was like I cracked the code. Those are literally the words that came out of my mouth, telling my husband about it and telling my business besties about it. I cracked the code. That's what it felt like. And I've just been really clinging on to what did I do to set myself up for that type of week? And the craziest part is, you guys, it was Anthony's first week of school. And was last week? No, this is Anthony's first week of school. So I did have a little bit of extra childcare last week. So I had a little extra time and space. So let's write that down as one key factor that played a role in my success last week is I had white space. And white space is what I call kind of intentional space where you don't have a specific to do. Okay. But it can also be gifted to you, right? So there was, one day where Mark came home early and he took the kids out or something. I had unplanned white space. So when I say intentional, I don't necessarily mean planned, but I mean you're using this creative space to trust yourself and make creative decisions. So I do think building in that white space into your schedule is important, but when you're gifted it, how can you take the best advantage of it? And intuitively, when you're creative, when you are in that flow where business and creating content and all the things feel super easy. So trust that, because believe me, there are plenty of days where I'm gifted some alone time and I choose to go to the gym, to move my body, whatever it may be, right? We're always kind of making these decisions. But it just so happened that last week I was in a really good place with my work. And I just was like, sweet, I'm just going to keep working. And magic things were happening. Opportunities were just like coming out of the sky. It's really hard to even explain. Another thing that I did to prepare for this. So the white space I didn't really necessarily do to prepare, but it was a well-planned week. Let's just say that. I wasn't just sitting at my desk saying like, oh, what am I going to work on today? Like I've talked about this a lot on here that I get so much more done when I have a plan, when I map my week, when I know what I'm working on. But then the white space is intentional. So there might be a block on my calendar with no to-dos. And that's where I know I can kind of dilly-dally, like, what do I want to work on right now? Okay. But another thing that I did that I think helped manifest this amazing week is I actually read a manifestation book. And it's called Dollars Flow to Me Easily by Richard Dotz. We'll put it in the show notes. And I actually read this book in 2019. And I read it in 2019 and I felt like I needed it to read it. I needed the answers. I needed it to work. And I didn't absorb it at all. And I remember trying to read it and just being like, ugh, this just like isn't resonating. I can't say I really walked away with much from it. And I knew I would always have to come back to this book. Like I knew, inside myself that I know this book works and everyone's telling me this is a great book and I'm just going to have to come back to it. And it took me till 2023 for whatever reason. Mark and I had a conversation about relationships with money. And I said, you know what? Like, I'm just going to reread this book and see if it gives me some tools for having conversations with him about money or conversations with whomever. Like, I believe in our relationship with money. I know that it's a real thing, but I haven't really felt like I was the right person to articulate it or to talk about it because I'm still kind of figuring it all out myself. So I picked up the book and I decided that I would read 20 minutes with Gracie while she was doing her reading every night. So for school, her homework is to read for 20 minutes. And I was like, gosh, I've really been wanting to read more. This is a good opportunity for me to sit next to her and we can do our 20 minutes together. So I flew through this book in like 2 days, you guys. Like, it's a super quick, short read. And it sunk in this time. Like, I was hanging on to every word. And I think a lot of that is just, how much I've evolved in the last 3 or 4 years, how much more open to learning about manifestation and how powerful our thoughts and words are. I've evolved so much. So this book was really like digestible in the best way for me this time around. And I do think that played a huge part in energetically how I showed up last week. So I'm not saying go run and read this book, but I do think letting your intuition guide you on what self-development thing you want to do next, listen to that. Because one of my biggest takeaways from last week, and I even shared this with Mark, is I said, when I listen to myself and nobody else, it's pointing me in the right direction over and over and over. And as someone who loves to have business conversations and hear all the opinions and take all the advice and consume all the content, like that was kind of surprising. And it's not that I rely on other people. I just love learning and hearing from other people. I literally love to learn, to the point where it kind of drives people crazy because I'm always working on something different and building something different and doing something different, right? But I love to learn. And I had this moment where I realized that every decision that led to this ease in this kind of best week ever was all just me making quick and not overthought decisions and just trusting that. Just diving right in and setting up text messaging in my marketing plan and diving right in to read that book and diving right in to jump on phone calls and talk to people about my vision for this beta program. I was just trusting myself moment after moment after moment. And there wasn't any, I need this to be perfect. I need this to be just right. Like, no, I was just showing people my idea in the raw draft form. No perfect sales page, nothing. And it was working. And there's a lot there, right? Like, I think a lot of it is like kind of just putting all the roadmaps and the step-by-steps to the side and just trusting, speaking from my heart and speaking from my passion and my purpose. And everything just happened with ease. And this week, this is why this is top of mind for me to talk about how do we keep this going, right? I haven't felt that ease the last, let's just say 2 days. Today's only Wednesday. And Anthony started school this week, so my schedule's kind of flipped upside down. And our childcare stuff has changed a little bit, which is totally fine. I'm really excited to be able to spend more time with Anthony. And I told myself, gosh, if I keep this up, and I shouldn't say the if, when I keep this up, I get to brag about the fact that I did it in a 15-hour work week. Anthony goes to school 3.5 hours a day. Well, 4.5 because we're doing before care with my parents. So what's that? Let's just say 20 hours a week. Okay. I am getting these results in 20 hours a week. And how freaking cool is that? Right. So I'm taking this on as a new opportunity to see what I can do in less time and with ease. But this week has been the week of transition and we're launching. There's a lot going on in my business right now. And I've been feeling that resistance pop back up. And I just keep replaying in my mind the things that I did last week, trusting myself to make these quick, intuitive decisions and trusting that everything is exactly as it should be. And I am still doing a lot of self-development. And I don't think we should all run off and just digest all of the self-development. I think there's a time for it and you have to trust when it's the time for it. But I'm listening to a podcast that I paid for, which is really incredible. And I'm reading another book by the same author that's a super easy read. And I am trusting that these tools are going to like keep my mind practicing these new skills. And so much of it is just the power of words, eliminating words like, I need to do that, or try. Trying manifests more trying. So instead of saying, I'm trying to keep my momentum going, I'm training myself to say, business is easy, business is simple, and I can keep this flow. And when I don't keep the flow, it might mean I need to rest. And I'm going to trust my intuition to tell me when it's time to rest and when it's time to grind, right? We don't want to force. Trying is like a forceful word. I'm going to try. I'm just trying to fill my program. I'm trying. Like, does that make you guys feel compelled to buy from me if I'm like, I'm just really trying to get my program off the ground? No, right? But when I speak from a place of, I know for fact that I have finally created an offer that is such a no-brainer that I can help people with such ease reach the goal that they set because of this code that I have finally cracked and this program that I finally built in a way that is the easiest yes ever. Doesn't that sound more compelling than I'm just trying really hard to get it right? I'm trying really hard to build the perfect program. Wasn't that other version way more compelling? And don't you feel way more trust in me? Isn't that crazy? And the language that we use to ourselves and to the people that we're talking to is so important, because that example right there is the difference in language, right? Like my confidence level on the inside might be the same, but the language that I'm choosing to express changes everything. So eliminating words like try, eliminating need, and I could go on about the things I'm learning about that word, right? And just action. I am going to. I am dedicated to. I am excited to, right? It's very, very powerful stuff that is actually very simple. So all that to say, I'm allowing this week to be a little bumpy, and I am accepting that it is exactly as it is. And, the results will take care of themselves as long as I continue to show up for those who need me most. I hope that was helpful. Let's recap just a little bit. So I had intentional creative space, meaning I allowed enough time and space for my own thoughts to dictate my choices, whether that's taking a walk, whether that's sitting at your computer with a blank piece of paper so that you can brainstorm, listening to a podcast, however you want to use your intentional time and space, but trusting your own decision-making to guide you through that is huge. And then choosing self-development that feels like the right time, not because you're trying to force a result. Self-development does not work when we're trying to force the result. Notice when I said I picked up this book for the second time, it wasn't because I was trying to force the result. I was curious. I was curious about this relationship with money that everyone speaks about, and how can I partake in those conversations a little bit better, right? How can I just learn a little bit more about our relationship with money and have more meaningful conversations with my husband and with my friends? That was it. That was the only reason I picked up that book, not because I had an attachment to the result. And I really believe that changed everything. And that kind of just came out. That wasn't really planned. And then the other thing is working on the way that the words that I choose in my language. And these are all things that I can continue doing. So when I felt that fear creep in, that, oh gosh, I had a really high, here comes the low, right? No, let's approach it from a place of neutrality and a place of trusting that I am in control of the words and thoughts and decisions that I make, and I get to fully trust myself to do those one after the other. So that was a little clunky, a little unscripted as usual, but I hope that it was helpful. We'll put the book in the show notes. We'll put everything that you need in the show notes. I would love for you to set up a one-to-one marketing power call with me if you are interested in hearing more about this program that is changing everything. And if you think you might be a good fit, if you are a creative business owner of any kind who wants to learn more about marketing, who wants to become the educated chief marketing officer of your own business so that maybe one day you can then delegate it, then this program is for you. So thank you guys for listening and allowing me to process through some of that and continue. See, I was going to use the word hopefully, and continue to manifest some of my best weeks ever. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you guys next week.